Hey guys, so for this video, I want to pose the question, who is the greatest Fortnite player of all time? Previously, I've ranked the best players from each season, the best players from Fortnite Chapter 2, the best controller players. I've basically ranked everything. For this video, however, I'm not going to be doing any sort of rankings or top 10 list. What I'm going to do is talk about 6 or so candidates for the GOAT or greatest of all time spot, and then leave it up to you guys to decide. Now, before we start, I think it's important to define criteria for what the GOAT should be. For instance, the GOAT should be a competitive player, not a content creator that is still active in the pro scene. Additionally, the GOAT should be good across all game modes from solos to squads and consistent regardless of the meta. With that being said, I hope you guys have some ideas in mind. My first candidate though is going to be Tfue. As one of the biggest and most successful Fortnite players in the world, Tfue actually came from humble beginnings. He started playing Fortnite in Season 1 and streamed to a very small audience on Twitch for months. Then one day in Season 4, he was given the opportunity of a lifetime to play with FaZe Cloak in Fortnite Friday. They ended up winning the tournament, Tfue went and joined FaZe, and thus kicked off his competitive career. The next major event he played in was the Summer Skirmish, where he placed 7th in the Week 4 solo event, and 2nd in the Week 6 duo event. When he really started to perform though, was a few months later in the Fall Skirmish. There, he won the Week 2 solo event, the Week 4 solo event, and the $400,000 Week 6 duo TwitchCon LAN event. Fast forward from there to February of 2019, and again, Tfue proved himself by finishing 3rd in Secret Skirmish duos and 7th in solos. Here, however, is also where Tfue started to lose steam and focus more on streaming. This, coupled with the fact that he and Cloak weren't performing that well, meant everyone thought he fell off. Regardless, Tfue pushed forward and proved everyone wrong by qualifying for the Fortnite World Cup in solos twice. Then again, Tfue seemed to lose steam after he had a poor showing at the Fortnite World Cup Finals and the beginning of Trios. It wasn't until the last week of the Season X Championship Series when he finally qualified with the help of Kanata and Fiber. The three of them qualified for the Squad FNCS Finals as well, and Tfue finally found his groove back. He picked up Scoped as a duo, and they won the most recent Duo Cash Cup in Chapter 2 Season 2. So while he may not be the best player at the moment, Tfue's track record could easily qualify him as the GOAT. My next candidate is the other fan favorite, this time from EU, FaZe Mongraal. Mongraal, just like Tfue, started playing Fortnite in Season 1 and slowly started to make a name for himself. He live streamed on Twitch and went viral with his insane building skills and mechanics. Then his first big break came in April when he was signed by Team Secret. The thing is, Mongraal was 13 at the time and the minimum age to compete was 16. Still, that did not stop him as he won the Week 6 Fortnite Friday and qualified for the Winter Royale semifinals. Soon after that, in February, Epic changed the age minimum to 13, meaning Mongraal was finally allowed to compete, and compete he did. In his first ever Epic sponsored event, the Share the Love series, he placed 1st, and a week later in the Gauntlet, he placed 5th. Following that up, he started to duo with Metro and won every duo event in sight. They won the Lux Cup, placed 3rd in the World Cup warm-up, and qualified for the World Cup 3 different times. On top of that, Mongraal also qualified for the World Cup in solos and ended up placing 6th in duos and 13th in solos in New York City. Somehow, we're still not done yet. During trios, Mongraal added Benji Fishy to the mix, and they absolutely dominated Europe. In total, they won 6 different trio events and placed top 3 in another 2. That alone increased his earnings by over $150,000. Finally, in Chapter 2, Mongraal placed 2nd in the Squad FNCS Grand Finals, 7th in the Winter Royale, and top 4 in every major duo event in Season 2. Those results are straight up unheard of in Fortnite esports, and I know they will continue as long as Mongraal keeps grinding. So in terms of pure consistency across every season, it's hard to put anyone above FaZe Mongraal. My third candidate, I know for a fact is gonna watch this, so just know I do not like you, but I cannot deny your skill. The person I'm talking about is TSM Zexrow. Unlike Mongraal and Tfue, Zexrow had a late start to the competitive scene. He only started playing Fortnite in Season 3 and did not get involved in competitive until Season 5. That was when he performed well in the solo showdown, which ultimately landed him a spot in the Summer Skirmish. Oh, and random fact, he actually duoed with Envy Bucky way back in the day. Anyways, after that came the Fall Skirmish, where Zexrow won the Week 1 event, placed 15th in the Week 5 duo duo event, and finished 3rd at TwitchCon. Crazily enough, Zextra was not even close to his peak. In the Winter Royale, he qualified for both sessions on NA and EU, and pulled off some of the most insane plays in Fortnite history. The man was straight up unstoppable. Continuing his performances, Zextra placed 21st at WSOE, 22nd in the Secret Skirmish, 3rd at ESL Katowice, and top 10 in the North American Gauntlet events. Unfortunately, however, this was around the time Zextra developed tendinitis in his wrist and had to stop playing Fortnite. He couldn't scrim or aim train or do anything at all. Even still, he came back a few months later and qualified for the World Cup in the last week of duos. This led to him placing 9th in the World Cup finals, bringing home $225,000. After that, in Season X, Zextra won the Trio FNCS Grand Finals for $300,000, and in Chapter 2, placed 2nd in the FNCS Grand Finals. Nobody in the world has that many top finishes in the Fortnite Championship Series, so although I despise him, I cannot take away how good he's been in every major tournament and how well he will do with Macwood as a duo. The next candidate I want to cover is NRG Zate. The thing is, I think his duo GoSaf could and should be in the GOAT conversation as well. I just don't want to repeat myself since they have basically the same accomplishments. Also, Zate is really scary looking and I don't want him to beat me up. Seriously though, when it comes to competitive Fortnite, nobody's more consistent than Zate. Zate was one of the founding members of the competitive scene all the way back in Season 2 and 3. He played on the legendary squad named Llama Lords up until he left and was picked up by NRG Esports. With them, he placed 4th in the 2nd week of the Summer Skirmish, 1st in the 3rd week with Saf, and 8th in the 4th week. Months later in the Fall Skirmish, he was just as consistent, placing 3rd in the 1st week and top 20 in 4 others. The year that really solidified him as one of the best though was 2019. He started his streak off coming in 2nd at WSOE, 7th in the Secret Skirmish, 7th and 1st at ESL Katowice with Saf, 2nd in the NA Gauntlet, and 1st in the Scallywag Cup. Zate and Saf were basically winning everything in sight. And guess what? They did not stop. Zate qualified for the World Cup 4 times in total, 3 times for duos and once for solos, and finished 4th in duos in New York, winning $1.5 million. Following that up, Zate won the first Trio Cash Cup and placed 4th in the Trio FNCS Grand Finals in Season X. Then, most recently, Zate led his squad to 3 FNCS qualifier first place finishes and 4th in the NA East Grand Finals for squads. So whether it's Zate, Saf, or the combo of them both, there's truly been nobody better across the past few years. Second to last candidate is one of my favorite players ever, Ghost Bizzle. Bizzle, just like Zate, was one of the first well-known competitive players after a squad called Fable was picked up by Ghost Gaming. This move, I believe, was the first major signing in Fortnite esports and really paved the way for Bizzle to rise up to the top. In his first major tournament, which was the Summer Skirmish, Bizzle showed off his game sense by placing 2nd in the Week 3 duo event. About 5 weeks later at PAX West, he then placed 2nd in solos and brought home $180,000. To follow that up, Bizzle placed 2nd in the 2nd week of the Fall Skirmish, 2nd again in the 3rd week, and 4th in the 6th week at TwitchCon. This was when most people considered Bizzle the best player in the game. From there, he continued his success, placing 6th in the Winter Royale, 6th at WSOE 3, 4th at the Secret Skirmish Duos, and 1st in the Secret Skirmish Solos. What's interesting is that all of those events were LANs, proving how good he is on both online and in person. Next, Bizzle went on to place 4th at ESL Katowice, 3rd in the Solo World Cup qualifiers, and 1st in the initial Trio Cash Cup. Pretty darn impressive, but to a lot of people, it was not enough. Bizzle did not perform as well as people thought at the World Cup finals, and did not make the Trio FNCS Grand Finals. Many people, including me, doubted him and counted him out. That was until Chapter 2, when Bizzle placed 3rd in the FNCS Grand Finals, 1st in the Week 1 Duo Cash Cup, and 2nd at the DreamHack Anaheim LAN. The king of LANs is truly back. So while Bizzle may have disappeared for a few months after the World Cup, he's recently proven himself again as one of the best players in the game. To finish the video, the 6th and last candidate for the greatest Fortnite player of all time has to be Mitro. Mitro is another legend in the competitive scene that many people overlook when it comes to long-term success. His first major tournament, like everyone else's, was the Summer Skirmish, where he absolutely dominated. He placed 13th in the Week 2 solo event, 1st in the Week 2 duo event, 1st again in the Week 5 duo event, 4th in Week 6, and 5th in both Week 7 events. This insane streak continued into the Fall Skirmish, where he won 2 weeks back-to-back in solos and duos. It was pretty clear to most people at the time that Mitro was the best performing player in Europe. Following that up, Mitro continued to dominate, placing 3rd in the Winter Royale Finals, 5th at ESL Katowice, 1st in the Lux Cup, and 3rd in the World Cup warm-up. And speaking of the World Cup, Mitro qualified for it 3 times in duos, was the most consistent solo non-qualifier, and ultimately placed 6th with Mongraal in the finals. The man does not fold under pressure. After that, in Season X, Mitro won nearly every trio event with Mongraal and Benji, and started to consistently place in solo cash cups. Chapter 2, however, is where Mitro seemed to get overshadowed, not because he wasn't doing well, but more so because Mongraal and Benji were doing better. Still, he placed top 3 in 2 squad FNCS qualifier weeks. Finally, in duos with the legend CRR, Mitro is back in the spotlight, finishing 3rd in the Winter Royale, top 8 in numerous solo and duo cash cups, and 1st in the first rounds of both duo FNCS weeks. So even if you're from NA and tend to be more biased towards those players, you simply cannot overlook how dominant Mitro has been in Europe. Overall guys, those are my candidates for the greatest Fortnite player of all time. Please try to remember, my list was not a top 10 or rankings of any sort, it was simply to name the top players for this spot. What that means is it's up to you guys to decide who the GOAT is and to leave your choice down below in the comment section. So if you enjoyed the video or learned something new, do be sure to drop a like, subscribe to the channel, and to turn on my post notifications. Shout out to everyone using code Jerian. I hope you guys are all staying safe and playing as much Fortnite as you can. Otherwise, that's it from me, and I will see you guys in the next one. Later.